Okay, UFC 259, Adesanya versus Blachowicz. Here's the official prediction. My official prediction. My official prediction is, well, let's talk about it. Prediction versus bet. Blachowicz, last I heard, Blachowicz was a 2.5 to 1 underdog versus Adesanya. Uh, and that's maybe some people getting carried away with the hype, which, we learned in the UFC that uh, it's as real as it gets, right? Just because there's marketing hype, just because all the celebrities come out and they think someone's invincible, doesn't really mean a whole lot when they get in the cage. So there's some of that going on with Adesanya, right? His whole team is on the card. Um, he's making some big comments in the press conference talking about how he's going to be this transcendent superstar of MMA. The next kind of Conor McGregor or eclipse Conor McGregor. So, so he's saying a lot of big things. Um, that's not to say I think that Adesanya himself has kind of, bought into the hype himself or that he's become overconfident in any way, because he's an interesting character where, um, he's very playful and he's like a fun guy. In some ways, it makes him kind of hard to like in a way, but you can tell that he stays, like he said, he keeps that chip on his shoulder, which is really important, I think, and it keeps him level, it keeps him grounded, and I think that's going to be very important for this fight because Blachowicz is very dangerous. He's an odd fighter. He's got an odd, awkward style. Who looks like uh, he looks on the surface watching to be not a seasoned striker, right? He reaches, and Dan Hardy had a great breakdown about how Adesanya might win by feinting and pulling out Adesanya. I'm sorry, that Blachowicz would reach, Adesanya would feint, and Blachowicz would reach, and that's how Adesanya would be able to get in past Blachowicz's guard, which may happen. We'll see. But Blachowicz kind of, uh, just the way he fights is a little awkward in his movements, and he's not some polished striker, nor an accomplished as striker as Adesanya. Um, but he is a big dude, and he's fought some big dudes. I mean, he's taken it from Manuel when Manuel was on top of his game. Um, he fought Thiago Santos. These are big dudes in the 205 division. So I don't think he's going to be, number one, afraid of Adesanya's striking. Adesanya is not. Uh, he's pretty accurate. He's a good striker. He's not a one punch KO striker, nor is he even the precision master like Anderson Silva was. He's not. So I think Blachowicz, like if he wants to, and he mentioned in one of his interviews, they're going to be fighting in the small octagon. So if he wants to chase after him and try and catch him, corner him or find him some way and make it a grappling contest, he may be able to. And that's what he needs to do, is to make it a brawl. If you look at Blachowicz's recent wins, his knockouts of Anderson, Dominic Reyes, even go back to older fights, he'll catch his opponents with a hook, a left hook, a right hook, and it's usually after a grappling exchange or some type of clinch where things are messy, and he seems to just be good at finding the right shot in those little moments of chaos. And a lot of the fighters predicting, making their calls on this fight have have given some insight into that. I think that's kind of the running understanding of what would happen here is that Adesanya, if he can keep it on the outside and kind of be a sniper, he can win it. And I think Michael Bisping, I think you had the best uh, prediction. He said if Adesanya wins, it's going to be by a decision, and I agree. And if Blachowicz wins, it's going to be a TKO. Um, and it could go everywhere. And I believe Bisping, I think he said to choose, he picked Jan. And and I'm gonna say bet on Jan. He's a 2.5 to 1 underdog, and I think 50-50. I think Adesanya maybe has more ways to win this, but 5 rounds where I don't think he's not gonna take out Blachowicz in one shot or anything like that, or piece him apart in the first 5 minutes. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, he went. Look at the fight where he fought Gastelum, Whitaker. These fights went on, especially the Gastelum fight where he was hurt a lot. And Gastelum's a 170 pounder, and he's short. So Adesanya will be fighting a much bigger guy. Now he's not as slick. Gastelum's a fantastic boxer, great striker. But another thing is that Adesanya, in that fight and all of his recent fights, hasn't fought anybody who's willing to kick. And Blachowicz is a kicker, and he's got long legs. He's happy to do the high kicks. He's happy to trade leg kicks. That'll play into this, into the way this fight goes. So I think it's a 50-50 close fight. Now I think the UFC is smart when they let their champs go for champ status. They know what they're doing. But anything can happen. We've seen it, we've seen spoilers happen. And I would bet on Blachowicz. If you're going to bet, put your money on Blachowicz. Now, who will win? I think realistically, you'll have a decision for Adesanya. I think that's probably the most likely outcome. But I'm going to pick Jan.